the caretaker child who believes through quantum merit that if they're the one who's taking the parent to doctor for 20 or 30 or 40 or 50 years, that they should be getting more. You can't litigate love, so why are you trying? Is something that plays in my head a lot right now when I'm dealing with client situations. It is going to be incredibly more complicated as we're dealing with all of these issues. So about 3 years ago, a man called me, a lawyer, I know him very well, and he said to me, listen, my father is incompetent and I'm his guardian. His second wife is incompetent and her son is her guardian. And they're living in an Alzheimer's unit together. And what we want to do is, through our guardianships, we want to get them divorced. And the reason that we want to get them divorced is to trigger the prenuptial agreement. I said, does your father and your stepmother know who each other are? He said, well, sure. They dance together every night. I said, okay, so they have Alzheimer's, but they're still aware that somebody is important in their life. He said, yes. I said, the last time that they were competent, when you think they were competent, did they intend to remain married? And he said, yes. I said, well, I'm not doing it then. I am not going to change somebody's state of mind and economic reality because the children benefit from that. I can't do that. So that's okay. He went, he found someone who did. Was I right? Was I wrong? I don't know. All I know is that there's no way that I could do that. Here's another example. I had a woman who was a paranoid schizophrenic, who was a client, who was incredibly hard to handle, but had real lucid moments. And people came up to me and said, you have to take action to take her personal liberties away. And I said, I can't do that. I'm her lawyer. I can't take action against her. If a family member wants to think about doing something like this, they can do it, but I can't. Eventually the brother did. He became her guardian and her life straightened out. Now, could I or should I have been more active in the role of making that happen sooner? I don't know. The canon of ethics is not crystal clear on that. There's a case that I was involved in, which is probably the worst case that I have ever seen on an ethics point of view, and it ended up on 60 Minutes. And it happened about 25 years ago, and I was a brand new lawyer and I was practicing law. I had my own office in Lexington, Massachusetts, and a real estate lawyer came up to me and he said to me, listen, I've got a client. She's older, her family has basically all died, she doesn't have any kids, she used to be a ballerina, and she has spent her money down to about $26,000, which was not as insignificant 25 years ago as it is now. There's a caregiver that's in there, and what she wants to do is turn the house over to the caregiver in exchange for services rendered for the rest of this woman's life. And she wants to talk to somebody about it. And I said, well, I don't think that's a good idea. He said, well, I don't think that's a good idea either, but she wants to talk to somebody else. Would you be willing to come out and talk to her? I said, sure. So I went out and I spoke to her. Her name is Jane, and she was competent. And she said to me, listen, I want to die in my home. I need care, I want to die in my home. I said, listen, you are right now the one who's paying the caregiver. You're down to $26,000. You're the one who's paying the caregiver's money. Neither one of you have a significant income source. How is this going to work? What if she dies before you? What if she becomes disabled? What if a lot of different things can happen? And she looked at me and she said to me, you know, I've thought about all of that. It doesn't matter. I want to do it anyway. If she dies, her daughter will take over. She had everything like laid out in mind. I said, okay, I can't help you with this. She said, good, because if you can't do it, then you're not hired. I said, but I would like to do 2 other things. I'd like to call your trust officer and explain this in case they have another solution. And I'd like to call Vassar College, where you went, and see about materials that I know that they have on reverse mortgages and have those sent to you. Is that okay? And she said, yes, that's fine. You can do both of those things. So I did both of those things, and I called the trust officer. She had a niece who lived in Kathmandu and a sister who was older than she was in a Vermont nursing home. And the trust officer said to me, I've alerted both of them. They're getting a lawyer. You don't have to worry about it. And I called Vassar. They sent the package. 15 months later, I was reading the Boston Sunday Globe front page spotlight team that she met a lawyer who for $1,500 represented both sides of the transaction, deeded the house over to the caregiver, and once the caregiver got the house, she starved her to death. She put a sign on the door that said, "Don't bother me, I'm sleeping." She put the radio on so nobody could hear her screaming, and of course, there were no family members anywhere around, and she died. And even me, the most Italian cynic out there, and had my whole list of parade of horribles, didn't see that one coming. The lawyer was sued for malpractice, for negligence, and for proximate cause of death. His defense was, she was competent, she assumed the risks. I don't know anything about criminal behavior, I can't control it. He was right on the competent thing. There's no doubt in my mind that woman was competent and she was gonna keep going till she found something. All I know is, it wasn't me. So, what's right? What's wrong? How does it happen? How do we think about hearkening back down to our own sense of morality and judgment in a world that is going to be consistently, increasingly challenging that as advisors? I think it's very tricky.